Welcome to Winning Retirement TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Greg and Kristin Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. And to our viewers at home, do you know when to hit the retirement panic button? We're going to talk about that in today's show, when to hit the panic button.
Where's our button? We have a button.
We need one of those.
One of the X's we had on the one show a couple back.
That was so much fun. That show, I had such a great time with both of you. Kristin Charles, who is your radio host, is brilliant. She wrote that show.
Yes.
She's just amazing.
Yes.
I always love to see what she comes up with. Most definitely. So this is really cool. Now listen to this. According to a survey from Talker Research, 95% of pet owners feel that having a pet improves their mental health daily.
Yes.
I agree with that.
100%.
Yes, because we have Paco and we have Bella.
Yes.
Yes.
Paco Bella.
Paco
Bell.
Bell, Belly Button, Bella. She has a lot of names.
Oh
that
my
she goes
goodness.
by.
Yes. And it's definitely Kristin and Jaden's emotional support.
Yeah, she follows us around everywhere.
Yeah, and I mean, first of all, Kristin has to deal with me.
Right.
And then she's got the three boys, Christian,
Right.
Cameron, and Jaden.
Yes.
And it's funny because Belle is like her shadow at home.
Yeah.
It's interesting, though. When you get home after work,
She does not come and greet me.
no, it's like she's mad at her.
She's mad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Does Paco do that?
Well, Paco mopes when I'm gone, so he will not go out of his bed only to go potty and eat turkey. That's it.
That's
He
it?
lays there the entire time.
Okay.
And so then Tony gets all upset. He called me last night. He was like, he was a little bit better today. Like he came up and scratched my leg a little bit, but he goes into depression waiting for me to get home. So
Yes.
we are attached to one
Yes.
another.
Yes.
It's like heart to heart. Paco and I were like one.
Yes, Belle's little pen with her bed is in the mudroom.
Yeah, in the entry,
and
yeah.
her bed faces the door coming from the garage, and she will lay there and stare at that door. And now she can hear Kristin's car coming down the street. When she hears her car, she'll be at the door circling around. We call it her patented spin move, and she gets so excited.
But then when I walk in, she goes back to her bed.
Yes. Now when I
She's
walk
pouting
in,
a little.
Well, when I walk in, she's ready. She wants me to pick her up. She licks me, licks my face, my
Kisses,
ears.
yeah.
Gives me kisses. And it's the funniest thing in the morning when I shave, she wants to lick the shaving cream off my ear.
It's weird. It's a weird
But
situation
that
I have.
is
It's
cute. I
weird.
mean, really,
Yes.
they just add so
Yes.
much to our lives.
So yes, this little 3-pound teacup Yorkie has stolen the show at the Taylor house for sure.
Oh, I can totally see why. Absolutely. And Paco is the same. We have Reese too. Now, we could go to pets all day. We could talk about pets, but let's talk about this. Nearly 2/3 of Americans are more stressed about running out of money in their golden years than they are about dying, at least according to a new study from Alliance Life. And it's sad that there's so much stress out there over retirement. Would you both agree?
Well, yeah, I would agree. And they're taking years off their life. I mentioned my Aura Ring a couple shows back, and stress does affect your metabolic age. I mean, it changes it. And so you definitely want to address the thing that's causing anxiety and stress. And I think part of it is there's so much negative news out there about the economy. Even when the economy is going great, they find a way to give us negative news, right? And find a way to make the sky falling.
It's true.
Cloudy with a chance of meatballs, right? Everything's falling apart and it's not going to be good and you're not going to make it. And so how do you get to a point in retirement where you're not ignoring the economic signals, but you're using them and you're working with them to create a plan that makes sense for you and your family? That's the ultimate goal, to reduce that stress and anxiety for retirement.
Absolutely.
Well, in this study, Kristin, over 54% of those that were surveyed said that the biggest reason was the potential or their perceived potential for high inflation. They're worried that perhaps they haven't done enough. And, so many times when families come in the office, I say, tell me your story. Why'd you come in? We just want to know, Greg, have we done enough?
This fear, though, is new. Because I remember 10 years ago, maybe not quite 10 years ago, people not being as concerned about inflation, because what were we in the middle of?
Low inflation.
Low inflation. And we had years of near zero inflation, to the point where there was a year or two where there wasn't even any increase in the Social Security payments,
That's
right?
true.
That is true.
1 or 2 years. So I think that being a new fear is driving a lot of this.
It is.
But it's a good thing to be conscious of, because inflation over the course of time is a real thing that you have to address in your retirement plan.
Well, you do. And another big one is taxes.
Yes.
The fear of increased taxes in the future. And,
Yes.
you know, we're staring right in the face of nearly $40 trillion of national debt.
Unbelievable.
Where the debt service alone, the interest on our debt service, is more than our military budget. Think about that for a minute.
That's so crazy.
How crazy is it? But yet we're in still historically low tax rates. So now there really is a window of opportunity for people to alleviate some of those fears by paying some taxes while tax rates are low, to eliminate the possibility of those increasing in the future. In other words, pay the debt to Uncle Sam. Now, that's one way to do it, but ultimately it's, okay, how do we address inflation? How do we address high taxes? How do we address the number one concern of people facing retirement in America, and that is the fear of running out of money?
Yes.
That is such a big concern,
Yes.
even for those that have saved well. I mean, we had a family in, they'd saved $4.5 million, they were concerned about it. I know the average viewer is saying, yeah, what's to be concerned about there? Well, we all have that concern, because everybody's level of what they expect out of retirement is a bit different. We have some that want to spend $20,000 a month in retirement. They've got big plans. They want to travel the world. They want to do lots of things with their family. They're keeping up 2 homes. You know, they're doing lots of things, and that costs money to do. So you have to support that. You have to, in order to be able to maintain. Others, they only need an additional $10,000 or $20,000 a year, which is great. That puts less stress and strain. You don't have to have as much saved.
Well, that's why I think it was about half were concerned that Social Security wouldn't be enough to sustain them in their retirement years, which for more than that, it won't really be enough.
I hope it's not enough to sustain them, because it means they're not doing a whole lot.
Yeah, that's true.
That gets back to that spending the retirement,
And
right?
enjoying your life.
Right.
Yes.
So understanding that you don't have to just bank on those dollars that are going to be there, like Social Security or pension. You can really look at the other money you saved and create a plan around those dollars to do all the things that you want to do in retirement.
Absolutely.
But Kristin, it's all about investing with purpose. There should be a purpose behind every single thing we do. We have principles to guide this. First of all, we believe investment decisions should only be made within the context of someone's plan.
Okay.
So therefore, principle number 2, your plan determines where you put your money, not vice versa, not based on what someone has to sell you. News alert here, folks. If they only sell stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, guess what the plan is? Stocks, bonds, and mutual funds.
If they only sell annuities, the plan is going to be an annuity plan.
Right.
Yep.
And so the plan should be based on what we need, not what someone has to sell. Number 3, be efficient with risk. Understand how risk works, understand how much risk you're taking, and have a plan to mitigate some of those risks. And then protect your income, grow the rest. Protect what you need to maintain that lifestyle. Whatever that lifestyle is, protect that income. Have a plan for that. Have a written plan that shows you. And by the way, for those concerned about inflation, your written plan should account for inflation.
Most definitely. And Greg and Kristin, we're going to take a very short commercial break. But Kristin, talk a little bit about the testmyretirement.com. I want to talk about that in this commercial break.
Yeah, it's super easy. You can go to testmyretirement.com, click on the little button that says Learn More, enter a few pieces of information, and it'll give you an idea of what your tax burden is going to be in retirement based on the dollars you've saved and the type of accounts you have saved. And it gives you an idea of whether you should look maybe towards the idea of converting or Roth IRAs, and really understanding what your tax liability is going to be in retirement, which is a huge part of the retirement planning piece.
Absolutely. That's why I wanted to talk about that, because it's part of the main stressors that people are worried about.
Yeah.
So thank you so very much. To our viewers at home, the number to call is 614-336-7660. What you're calling in for today is the complimentary consultation with Greg and Kristin. Let them get to know you, what your goals, your dreams, and your wants are for retirement. If you're not sure of where you stand with current tax situations and what your obligations would be today if you don't make changes, please visit testmyretirement.com. Once again, it's testmyretirement.com. You'll put in a little bit of information. You can take a look at what your current tax burden is right now versus making some changes. And it actually is something that you can adjust. You can put different scenarios in to get different responses, but it's worth your time. Please go to testmyretirement.com. We're going to take a very short commercial break here on Winning Retirement TV. Don't go anywhere. I have so much more with Greg and Kristin Taylor when we return.
Have you been wondering if a Roth conversion is a good idea? Do you feel a lack of confidence in Washington when it comes to future taxes during your retirement years? You should probably visit testmyretirement.com. It's Legacy Retirement Group's latest no-cost resource for soon-to-be and current retirees. TestMyRetirement.com is super simple to navigate. After clicking on Learn More, you'll fill in a few pieces of information, and within 30 seconds, you'll see a personalized analysis of your total potential taxes in retirement using your existing approach, compared to what's possible with some adjustments. Every situation is different, but if you don't want to be in debt to Uncle Sam, go to testmyretirement.com to find out if you can possibly reduce your future retirement obligations. Get started now at testmyretirement.com.
Welcome back to Winning Retirement TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Greg and Kristin Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group, and we're talking about how to have a perfect winning retirement by taking a few steps today. Call in for that consultation. But in this segment, I love this. This is Talker Research. They've pinpointed the exact level of remaining phone battery life that sends people into a panic. Anyone want to guess what it is?
Is it probably around 20%? For me, it's 20%.
I'm about there, but sometimes a little higher. It's not that.
10%.
Wow. Okay. It's 38%.
Oh, wow.
But they pinpointed the exact to the 38.
38%.
Interesting. Okay.
Wow.
And I don't know, I'm a Disney fanatic like the two of you are. I
Yes.
know you love to go with your family. I love to go as well. In fact, Tony surprised me for my birthday with a trip to Disney. Well, I had learned the time before that it's really important to take a charger with you to charge your phone when you can find a charger in the park. By the way, there is one in the ice cream park that's in
well,
the
good to
Magic
know.
Kingdom in
Okay.
Tomorrowland. I found that. But you can buy from these little, they're vending machines almost, and they're portable battery packs.
Yes.
We scoured everywhere looking for one. I was panicked. I may have been at 38%. I can't remember now, but it was a lifesaver for me. I got it. I plugged it in. Everything was beautiful with the world.
I got one of those probably last year. Do you know you can recycle them?
Yes.
You can turn them back in. It doesn't charge you. You just put it back in there and it gives you a new one.
It's the greatest concept ever. It's really cool.
Well, I get these notifications on my phone. Our son Christian, his battery life is at 10%.
Oh, that's because we use Life 360.
Yes.
We stalk our children on
Yes.
that little app. We can see how
Yes.
fast
Yes,
they're driving, which parents get that.
That's really cool. But it tells you their
Yes.
battery life too.
Yes.
She'll
So they
text-
can't lie and say my battery died if they're out.
That's brilliant.
My children don't do that, but some maybe.
That is
And
brilliant.
So yeah.
Yeah, so we get those notifications, and wouldn't it be nice if we had a notification that said you're in danger of running out of money?
Absolutely.
I
Which
mean,
kind of ties into the next thing I was going to ask you is at what point do people begin to panic about their retirement accounts? Does it hit a certain dollar amount? Is that when you see
Well,
people panic?
You know what's interesting? I love technology in the office, even though Kristin hasn't trained me on how to use it. I'm sorry, but that's the reality of it. But we use this program called Riskalyze, and it helps measure someone's appetite for risk between 1 and 99.
Okay.
And it's like taking literally a financial eye test. It really is. And so I'll ask, and let's say a couple comes in, they've got $1 million saved, and so I go there and I go to the Riskalyze and we put up the little quiz, and the quiz says, okay, at what point, if your $1 million drops in a 6-month period, do you start to get concerned? Now, doesn't mean you're going to panic, doesn't mean you're going to pull everything out of the market. Just at this point, I'm getting concerned. Is it if I lost $100,000, if I lost $80,000, if I lost $150,000, if I lost $500,000, at what point do I start to get concerned? So that's where we begin.
Okay.
And then we tweak it. We ask which looks better, this one on this side or this one on that side. They pick. Then which one looks better now? this one or that one.
You know, my favorite part of this exercise when we're in the conference room is there's always one spouse. It could be the wife, could be the husband, you know, in some cases, but there's always one that looks to the other to answer it.
Yes.
You know, like, well, how do we feel about this? I don't know how I feel about this. Tell me how I feel about this.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And so you can kind of see who's leading the pack, right?
What's best, but what's best is when the husband says one and the wife says the other, then I look to see, okay, who's really in charge here?
Yes, yes.
And we know, I mean, really, in reality, we know who is, but yes.
Yeah, sure.
I'll let you think that.
Yeah, as long as I feel that way, baby, that's all that matters.
What
That's
most
right.
women have to do, yeah.
So we get down to the point, and at the end, from their answers, we get a risk score.
Okay.
And then that helps us understand, okay, how much volatility can someone really stomach? Now we go back to see with all the math and everything we do, can you afford to take that much risk? So how much can you stomach? How much can you afford? And so once we get that, then we need to create a plan that allows you to have some flexibility. So how do we do that? We call it the 3-bucket approach.
Okay.
Now, why the 3-bucket approach? Because there's one bucket of money that's designed just for emergencies and things we need and things we want. In that bucket, I like for retirees to have no less than $50,000, preferably $100,000, and that gives people flexibility when things break, when something unexpected happens, when, okay, one of the kids needs some help and you weren't expecting that. Life happens, right? That's the life happens money.
Absolutely.
It really is. So now comes our income bucket. So that's how we're going to pay the bills, live the lifestyle, do the things we want to do in retirement. That's how we do that. And we want to use the absolute least amount of money possible to fill that bucket. We don't want to have any more there than we absolutely have to, but we do want to have enough income to maintain the lifestyle.
We didn't really answer her question, though. She asked, what percentage do people
Yeah, what
Well, that's
number?
where
Do
the
they reach a
riskalyze comes
number?
in.
Well, but I want to answer that, though, because I think that even those who don't mind risk, I'll say in air quotes, I would say even just if there's a bad day, meaning like what we've seen here in the last, several months of, anywhere from a 5 to 15% drop overall, maybe they're highly invested in a stock, not maybe with us, but just from calls into our office.
Right.
My stocks are down, my 401k is down, I need to come in and meet with you, and it's almost panicked.
Yes.
And so that's where the risk lies. Is funny to me because what on paper, this is why a plan is so important. What they decide on paper isn't always the feeling they get in their gut when it happens, right? But at least if you have a plan in place and you have somewhere to guide you, then your investments are going to make sense for what you can actually stomach.
Yes, and
Yes.
Kristin, this year we've gotten 2 calls.
Right. For the clients, I was talking about people calling in because they want to change.
Because they've got money in to sleep well at night.
That's right.
Yes.
They've got their income funded for life. And now the money in the growth piece,
plan is there.
It is fluctuating because guess what? Everything fluctuates if it's in the market, right? Now, maybe not perhaps as much as the broad market, but it's still fluctuating. Are they concerned? Well, nobody likes to see anything ever down.
Right.
I mean, no one ever likes that. But paychecks are coming in, money in the bank for emergencies. Guess what? Do I have to worry now? Am I depending on the market for my livelihood? No, just like when you're working. And this is why the 3 buckets is so powerful. Because the growth bucket can do its thing and it doesn't interfere with your income, doesn't interfere with when life happens.
I love that. I love that. Greg, thank you so much. Kristin, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, there's a number to call on your screen. That number is 614-336-7660. If you're in the viewing audience today and you're asking yourself, do I understand what my risk tolerance is? Do I really know where my portfolio lies as far as how much risk I'm taking? Take advantage of the complimentary portfolio x-ray. It's completely no obligation whatsoever. Call to book in that appointment today. The number is 614-336-7660. Or if you're rushing out the door, we've made it even simpler. You can grab your smartphone, click on that QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. That takes you right to the landing page of Legacy Retirement Group, and you can claim your time accordingly. You deserve to know and have peace of mind in your retirement years. And if you're taking too much risk, wouldn't you want to know today? We'll be right back momentarily.
Living a life is building a legacy. A legacy of milestones. Your first home. Raising your children. Becoming grandparents. And memories. From the first steps across the living room floor to the walk down the aisle. At every stage, your family is the most important part of your life, and you want to protect them, now and in the future. Which is why the decisions you make today are so important. You've worked hard to provide a better life for your loved ones. Now is the time to make sure that lasts. Build a legacy that will influence generations to come. Plan smart. Retire well with Legacy Retirement Group.
Welcome back to Winning Retirement TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Greg and Kristin Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. Well, I know that you two will not be surprised by what I am going to say next.
Okay.
This is focusing on the good, and this is from a psychological perspective. They say that marriage offers numerous benefits such as increased happiness, improved mental health, and a sense of stability. I know you both agree with that because you're so perfect together. Look at you.
No. Check, check, check. Maybe
Right?
some days it's not a check all the box, this kind
Well,
of
that's
thing.
everyone's
Especially
life.
for him.
I love that.
Marriage
That's-
has benefits for sure, but I will
Yes.
say that marriage is like everything else, that in a relationship, for it to work, everybody has to win.
Well, and everyone
Yes.
has to, both people have to give 100%.
That's
There's like an
true.
old adage, couples need to give 50-50. No, squash that. Everyone needs to give 100% because when the 100% isn't enough on one side, the other one makes up for it. And I think sometimes partners throughout the years that they're together don't always have 100% to give. And so if you're aiming for that, then the other ones will make up for it. Yeah.
I think that's so true. I really do. And I've known the two of you now for how many years, and you're both just amazing together. You're always
thank
happy,
you.
and we love being around you.
Well, in the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 13, it doesn't talk about love, it talks about charity. And charity is giving something without expecting anything in return. And so when you can go into a relationship with that mindset and that attitude, then it can really help. But marriage can teach you so many things. It teaches you the act of sacrifice, because if you really care about somebody else, you're going to do something based on what they really like, and sometimes sacrifice your own opinion. And because we disagree on various things, but we can get along great because one of us is usually willing to give in, which is typically me.
That's true. I won't disagree with that.
That is so funny. I'm just wondering what Tony would say. He'd probably agree. Like, yeah, I give in more than she does.
but no, seriously, it's all about learning to build that partnership together, and
Yes.
you know, it's really not any different than well, it is different in some ways, but any kind of relationship, even with a financial advisor, right? Because with a financial advisor, do you want someone that's just transactional, that's really just kind of checking off a box? And I feel like some doctors have gotten that way today, where when you go in for an appointment, it feels more of a transaction than a relationship.
Yes.
My old doctor that retired, I felt like I had a relationship. And today, I don't feel that as much when I go in. They're checking off things on the computer screen and giving you answers, but it doesn't feel like, okay, they're in it together with you, but it's more of, okay, we're giving you some type of solution based on what the computer screen says. So it's just different. And I don't want to feel like that way with an advisor either. I want to feel like they're in my corner. They feel my pain when I hurt. They care about my happiness when they want to see the joy in my life. I think that's the kind of relationship someone should really have, especially with their retirement planner, because it's such a big difference than when you're just trying to accumulate wealth.
It's very, very true.
Yeah.
Well, obviously talking about all the benefits of married couples, if you will, but how is retirement planning different if you're working with someone who's single?
Well, the thing that sticks out to me the most on that is that your tax rates change drastically versus someone that's married. For instance, a couple that's married can be up almost $400,000 and still be in the 24% tax bracket. You cut that in half for a single person. Just over 190 is your top level.
Okay.
It's over $90,000 in the 12% bracket for a married couple. It's half that for a single person. It's right around $47,500, I believe, is the amount for the single to stay in the 12% tax bracket. So our tax brackets can change much, much faster being single versus being married. The other thing that jumps out to me, I'm thinking about some awesome single ladies that we've had the privilege of working with over the years. And one that sticks out most of all to me, if I have a client that I really look up to, she's one of them because of her journey. Her husband left her when she was, home with 3 kids. She had stopped working to take care of the children. Husband leaves her high and dry. So there she is. She's trying to figure out, okay, how do I pay the mortgage payment? How do I keep the kids going? How do I, do all the things that you have to do for 3 kids and survive? Well, not only did this woman survive, did she ever thrive?
Wow.
She took online schooling, went to school at night, online. Yeah. She got a degree. She got into business. She got all 3 of her children through college. She did all this on her own and saved over $2 million.
$2 million?
Yes.
That's incredible.
It is incredible. I mean, I told her, I stood up in the office, I said, you're one of my heroes.
Aww.
Seriously, I mean, what a journey.
Yes.
Life took an unexpected turn.
The stories you hear.
Yes, and she could have quit.
She could have.
She could have given up. She didn't give up. She got through it. She got on the other side of it, and she thrived in her life. And, for me, I want everybody to thrive. And we just want to partner up with people who have that desire, who are not quitters. They're ones who just want to win in retirement.
It's like Eleanor Roosevelt said, you can't tell the strength of a woman. She's like a tea bag until you put her in hot water. That's what
I love that, yeah.
Kristin, thank you so much. Greg, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, the number to call is on your screen, 614-336-7660. If you're asking yourself, do I have a plan for my retirement that's going to last throughout my retirement years? And if the answer is no, don't miss the opportunity to call in or click the QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. Be safe, be happy, be blessed. We'll see you back 1 week from today on Winning Retirement TV with Greg and Kristin Taylor.